Man, what up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Test 1 2 1 2 1 2. I should be coming through, and I got my good juice. Uh, what's going on, world, man? Long time no see, everybody. Long time no see. Let me go ahead and get my cup ready because it's one of those days. It's just one of those days. It's one of those years so far. Yep. Get all of that. Yeah. You know what? I guess I am. Let's swig that around real quick. Go ahead and see what's happening. Look. All right now. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Once again, your boy Jerry the J back again with another episode of the Chitlin Circuit, just in case. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can go ahead and I guess that ain't gonna show up. Anyway, yo, what's up, world? Back again with another episode, man. If you tuning in, last week I was here. Last week that we was here, I was saying I was hoping that when I come back, we will be able to talk about things on a better, on better terms and whatnot. And these terms are still the same, man. Look, if anything, it seems like it's getting worse. I see. So before we get into it, as you've seen the little title sequence, we're gonna talk about the race wars, obviously, and we're gonna talk about the coronavirus. But let me start a little lighthearted real quick. Let me go ahead and step on the UFC's neck. Now, if you a fan of boxing, you're a fan of sports, ain't too much going on, but the UFC has been having competitions, the UFC have been holding fights. They had a couple of pay-per-view fights in the private, I believe the private Disney, on the Disney properties. I don't know how they're able to get away with this, but they've been doing it, so one way or another. I don't know, it's good for us, for TV, but long story short, you got some prominent champions who've, they talking about stepping away from the sport at this point. So, for those who don't know, John Jones, who to me is probably, he's definitely, John Bones Jones is definitely Hall of Fame material right out the gate. If he stopped right now, Hall of Fame, no matter what. If he had stopped 2 or 3 fights ago, Hall of Fame. Like, that's how great my boy John Jones is. I love John Jones and I love the fighter John Jones. I don't too much be falling in love with the outside of the sport John Jones. You know what I mean? But John is a staple in the UFC community. He's changed the sport. I believe he was the youngest, definitely youngest black champion, if not the youngest UFC champion. And I do have to put some respect on it. Yeah, he's one of the greatest. And I applaud it much because it's hard to be great like that and be it's hard to be great while being black in a sport that's competitive like that, because you got so many other races, not racist, but races are RACES. You got so many other races in the UFC who've just been dominating the sports, especially on the championship side. So like the Brazilians, they've been dominating UFC for the longest. Those who stand out the most of the time. When you think about dominators, the Brazilians they stand out a lot. And we consider them black too on our side, but at the end of the day, John is from America, whatever, blah blah blah. So That's a big shout out, and that's a big thing. It's not that many black champions. It hasn't been that many black champions in the UFC, so it's also great that not only was he the youngest, I believe, and I could be wrong, but he was damn good at what he was doing. But anyway, John and Dana White have been getting into conflicts, and I guess it's at the point where John he want to be released of his contract, so they gonna have to release him, or they not. I don't know what they gonna do really. You know, Dana White always been playing these type of games with his fighters, especially the ones who make money. For instance, Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal is one of those people who talking about he want to walk away, but they keeping him. So it's basically like, you know, right now he's a slave to the UFC, and he don't really got no other choice but to fight at this moment. But anyway, Jorge Masvidal, who's now one of the biggest top names in UFC, in mixed martial arts. He's on the point where he's ready to go. John said he wanted to be released from his contract immediately. I think he said he's done with the UFC. And I think there's another Henry Cejudo. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I think it's Henry. I can't remember. But one of the other champions who's damn good. Is they all asking for the same thing. Everybody want to be released from their contracts, or they want to be paid what they're supposed to get paid. Now, when it comes to John Jones, I'm gonna tell you right now, that man should have been getting paid what he was supposed to get paid. John was bringing in numbers and doing things in the UFC that nobody has seen before. He took out Hall of Famers, he took out legends, all throughout his championship career. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't lost a fight yet. I mean, yeah, he had a DQ, and now a DQ is a DQ. That doesn't mean you lost. It means you got disqualified because of a circumstance. So, you know, yeah, he got a DQ on his belt. I mean, he got a DQ under his belt, and I believe he has a no contest under his belt with when it came to DC. Now that no contest, that's on him, but he still won. It don't really count, so you still got to count that as a that's a non-loss. So whether you count it as a non-win, non-loss, it's not a complete which way. It's not a complete loss or win which way or the other. So to me, he hasn't lost a fight yet. Like, John Jones is literally undefeated. That's unheard of in the UFC at his age. I think John is 32 or 31, so he's been doing this thing. And Jorge's about 34, 35, 36, somewhere around there. Both of them in great shape. They at the peak of their careers. I think they are at the peak of their careers in physique right now. And for them to leave the sport, if they do leave the UFC ain't gonna have nobody, to carry them for like the next couple of years. I want to say maybe 1 or 2 years. And on top of that, Conor McGregor is like, he done. He just retired. You know what I mean? And Conor's young, kind of like 31, 30, in between 30 and 33. So when it comes to sports, that's about it, man. Ain't no other sports right now as far as I know. I think golf, I don't know if they do anything, but ain't nobody looking at golf like that. You know what I'm saying? I know the NBA is talking about they're going to start up their they want to start back up their the last bit of their season. I'm glad the Milwaukee Bucks has a clinched seed in the playoffs, no matter which way they try to go. I think it's a 22 game tournament they plan on having. But whichever way it goes, I'm happy that the Bucks, my home squad has a seat there. I hope they get closer to the championships, because they haven't won one in I don't know how long now. But anyway, that's where we at with sports, man. Like, I wish there was more to talk about when it came to sports, but obviously we in a predicament where we ain't gonna have too much to talk about when it comes to sports with what's going on. So let's go ahead and cut into the meat of it. Now, you know what? Let's go ahead, man. You know what? Let's cut into it. I've been seeing a lot. I know you all been seeing a lot lately about people. I know I've been seeing a lot of people all over Facebook, all over Instagram, over Twitter, over social media. I've been seeing people commenting, on YouTube and things of that nature. All type of platforms. And I've been seeing the same rhetoric that I've been seeing from way back when we was talking about Black Lives Matter, when it started back in 2013, somewhere around there, whenever it started. And it doesn't surprise me, as it shouldn't surprise anybody else, about how few people is using Black Lives Matter to justify the current stance in place of law enforcement within the United States. And what I mean by that is you're seeing a counterintuitive argument happening. Basically, yeah, Mike, man, yeah, John Jones, yeah, he trying to get up out of there. Anyway, you seen the counterintuitive argument that's going on right now in the United States, and what I mean by that is you got people who saying they agree with Black Lives Matter, but then on the other hand, they don't want anything to change. And to me, I don't know if I'm using the right word, but I guess that's a conundrum, or I don't know, that's an oxymoron. I don't know what the right word is, but it don't make sense anymore, right? I don't understand how you can be for something but yet against it at the same time. That don't make any sense to me. What I've been hating the most, or what's gotten under my skin the most, is when I see, and this is mainly from white people, and from black people too. Don't get it wrong. It's from both sides, and not just black and white, all colors. So I've been seeing people bringing up cases and situations, just like with black people, of law enforcement either beating people to death or basically killing people by way of mishandling them and mistreating them when putting them under arrest, and some of them have been white. And basically what they're saying is they'll say like, oh, what's the name was so-and-so, John Doe was killed by police with a knee to his neck in like 2016, 2015. And what was the outrage? What was the cries for his life? His life mattered too, right? And you damn right his life matters. Like, that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? Like, that don't need to be, it don't need to be said on the other end. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, if there was a killing, there was a situation that happened in 2016. I can't remember the man's name at the moment. I just watched the video, but I can't remember the man's name at the moment, and I apologize about that. He was white. It was in Dallas, and they subdued this man. They had him under arrest, and he's screaming like, "Please don't kill me! Y'all gonna kill me! Y'all gonna kill me!" And it ain't kind of crazy how when people get put under arrest or they getting detained or whatever you may call it by the police, and they scream out something like "Y'all gonna kill me," it usually ends up with them being killed or them being, murdered. However you want to look at it. It's not. That's ironic. It's like it shouldn't be overlooked, right? Anyway, the man was saying like, "Y'all gonna kill me," right? One of the officers had his hands on his back, but he also had his knee in his back too. Now, from the looks of it. Now, mind you, the white guy, the white man, or the man, he's handcuffed, right? Hands to the lower back and everything. Yeah, Temper, good looking babe, Tony Temper. Now look this up. Now he's handcuffed and everything, and from the looks of it, the police officer had his knee like right. To me, it looked like he had it in the center of his back, which is for anybody who questioning whether or not it's okay to have a knee on somebody's back while they're arrested, handcuffed, hogtied, however they're subdued, it's not cool. Like, I don't know if that's common practice within law enforcement, but to have a grown man on top of you, whether or not his knee is on you or not, I mean, a grown man could just hold you down. A strong person or a strong grown man could just hold you down with his hands alone. That's going to be enough to be like, all right, that's some pressure on me. I need you to get up off me type thing, right? Now imagine a whole grown man have their knee on you too, bearing their weight, all their weight, bro, along with their utility belt. So police got the gun, the pepper spray, the baton, or whatever else on their belt. All that weight is on you. You know what I mean? It's heavy. It's gonna, like I said last week, man, because people was talking about, oh, he was able to breathe because he was able to say this, and that, and this and that. He was able to say he was breathing, so he was breathing right. Now, that don't mean you can breathe properly. That don't mean you can breathe efficiently. And when the brain is not receiving that oxygen as efficiently as it needs to be, then you start to deteriorate. That's what happens. It's just the natural cause of things, right? So the man is he's telling them like, he can't breathe. I believe he said it once or twice, but basically he was unresponsive for a while, and they was mocking him. They was mocking him. They was making fun of him. They was talking about, well, I hope he ain't dead. Like at some point in the video, the man he became unresponsive, wasn't moving. And they was like, oh snaps, he's not breathing. Blah blah blah. So they questioning that, right? The EMTs or whomever, I don't know if it's the firefighters or the EMTs, one of them medical personnel came over and they gave him some type of shot. And I'm guessing this shot was supposed to wake him up. They gave it to him in the shoulder and they tried to shake him a little bit. Still unresponsive. Now they claim he was breathing because he snorted, and they thinking he was sleeping because they think him snorting was him like snoring. So he snorted a little bit. DJ, I feel like the reason that there is such an outcry now is because everything is being recorded and all races are able to see it. That's true. That's true. So, and let me touch on that, DJ, after I hit up this point real quick. So with Tony Tempa, basically, long story short, they get this man into the paramedics. The paramedics finally arrive, and I don't know if what I'm about to say is actually fact, because I have no idea. I never researched the situation afterwards. But to me, it looked as if one of the EMTs, which I believe was the white EMT, the one with the glasses. When you look at the video, in the paramedics, they got Tony Tempa in the stretcher. They got one of the paramedics. I believe he was black, and the other one was white with glasses. The one with the glasses looked like he was upset. Like he looked like he knew exactly what had happened and what transpired, and he was done. And he was tired of it, because the way he was like, he's dead. Like he announced, he said, that guy's dead. He was, oh no, the police. You say he's dead? He's dead. He's not moving. You sure? He's like, he said he's dead. He's not responding. He has no pulse. So he got no pulse. He got no pulse. I know that he's dead. And that's pretty much what he was saying. Like, just verifying, like, no, y'all, you know what? Y'all fucked up. That's kind of how it sounded to me, right? So the man died. Now there was no outbursts, no outcries, supposedly or allegedly, because I don't know. I remember hearing about the case back in 2016, but I think there were some things going on within our community. I think either Trayvon, or I can't remember now. I don't think it was Trayvon. I think Michael Brown. Somebody was already in headlines on our end, as they are at least every 1 to 2 years for black people. And at this point, as DJ said, the reason why it's outcries nowadays is because everything is recorded and everybody able to see it. Today me and my fiance had to take time to talk to my oldest daughter and give her a history lesson and show her some things, because she was ill-informed, or she wasn't informed about what was happening right now around her. And I thought it was it's not thinking, but I knew it was our responsibility living within these times, and because of the history that we come from, to inform all those who are of color or of non-color, just because we live in these times, to tell the children about what's going on in these times they live in. This is her time. You know what I mean? This is her time. She's 12 years old. And as she gets older, it's gonna have to live with her, and she gonna have to refer back to when I was 12, blah blah blah. So I don't want her to be ill-informed, right? So we start telling her, or asking her, what does she know about the George Floyd situation? And she didn't know much, if not any. And as I thought to myself, like, what can I compare a situation that happened similar to this or just like this back when I was around her age, if not younger? Rodney King. Now I'm about 3-4 years old, and back in '91 when the Rodney King situation happened, but I do remember that by the time I was 5 or 6 in the first grade, I do remember us talking about it, and them talking about equal opportunities and things like that. And it used to be called affirmative action back in when we was kids. Affirmative action. This is before or right before as Bill Clinton is becoming president. So, just like Rodney King, well, not just like Rodney King, because Rodney King is a little bit, not a little bit different, but different. They beat that man nearly to death. Thank God he survived, right? And that's where the confusion comes in play, because Rodney King lived after almost being beaten to death by 4 cops, but it was more than 6 cops present during the actions that they were doing, right? I mean, it was a lot of cops present, but I know it was for sure more than 6 when Rodney King was going through his thing. And Rodney had a friend, and that friend, I don't know where he went, or he or she went at the time, but they was no longer in the same area, right? Rodney survived. The police get off, found out guilty or acquitted or whatever the case may be. Riots pop off instantaneously in LA. And I think in certain pockets of the United States, but I think specifically in LA, called LA Riots 92. Now they got documentaries about this everywhere, and they got documentaries about the Rodney King beating everywhere. And that happened some 29, almost 30 years ago. And you fast forward and you ask yourself, what laws have changed not only on the state level but the federal level to protect those who are in custody or so-called being detained of an alleged crime or being suspected of an alleged crime from law enforcement? And I don't see any. We have these body cams installed on all, if not, on some, if not all, of the police in, I think, all the states in America. I'm not sure. And even with the camera footage from the body cams, in which you don't get much of because they hide that too, or they edit that, or they doctor that, or they lose it, or the camera wasn't on, or the sound was off, or they cut the camera off in the middle or right before they about to do something. But even with body cam footage, cell phone footage, CCTV surveillance footage, street light camera footage, I don't know how many more angles of video you need to prove the point of what we saying has been true all this time. But if this don't get it, nothing will, and you have to be removed. I don't know how, but you gotta go. I'm tired of people disagreeing with majority of black people. I'm tired of people disagreeing with the majority of black people that our lives matter. I'm tired of seeing all lives matter after somebody states that black lives matter or brown lives matter or yellow lives or whatever. I don't know if that's a thing either, but just in case somebody is, just in case some people are, if they are talking about all lives matter and they white, it never had needed to be said. Your life had mattered from the get-go since we've been learning about your ancestors in our lifetime. No other place that I know of, when we talk about history, when it comes to American history, highlights white history more than Americans. No other place. You can't go in Germany. You can't go in Germany, as far as I know, and find a statue. You can't go in Germany and find a statue of a Nazi or a former Nazi. You're not gonna see it. Why is it that we get to see statues of Robert E. Lee and other Confederate soldiers? I thought that was called treason. Like, I really thought that was. When people lose a war, their history is supposed to be lost. Like, you're done. You know what I mean? Like, we don't talk in high respects or high regards about Nazis. They don't talk about the policies or any if Nazi Germany had created any good during the evil that they were putting on the earth. If they had done any good, I'm talking about like laws or whatever, nobody is proclaiming it. So why is it that when the oppressed people say my life matters, you feel the need to also say that all lives matter, all lives? That's not what people saying, and I don't understand how that's not understood. It's getting to the point where, man, you can't even talk no more because it ain't making sense no more, and I don't know what else to do at this point. Like, I feel like we all should probably just stop having these conversations or debates with people on our pages, on our social media networks, and things of that nature, because it's a useless argument. I said last week that we're literally fighting to change paper, to change the ink on paper to reflect the views and opinions that we have today. If we are the people, and it's supposed to be what we want, right? That's what laws dictate. Laws, bills, all these things, any type of paper that they put in place in the government for us to follow, rules, whatever you want to call it. All those things are supposed to represent the things that the people want and or need. And if the people are screaming for change within law enforcement on a federal level, because unlike the Rodney King LA riots, these riots are happening everywhere, as it seems. These riots happen. I'm sorry, my bad. I gotta see what it is. These riots happening everywhere, right? Useless argument. These riots happen. I'm sorry, my bad. Okay, cool. These riots happening. I'm sorry about that, y'all. These riots happening everywhere. And basically what I'm trying to say is, man, look, nobody has claimed that white people's lives don't matter. Your life has been mattering to your ancestors from the moment they set up the Constitution, and it's evident. It's evident. All the laws that are in place today, that was put in place yesterday, has been at the benefit and at the privilege of white people. And if it's to the point where your benefits and your privilege is actually and literally affecting the lives of others, is a detriment to the lives of your so-called citizens, peers, and friends, then it's time for things to change. It can no longer go the way that y'all want it to go. It got to change. I'm tired of seeing our people bringing up, oh no, black on black. For those ill-informed, if you've been under a rock and you haven't been seeing black people talking about what happens in the hood when a black person get killed and ain't nobody saying nothing, I'm tired of everybody blah blah. But y'all choose to speak up and blah blah. Look, man, I'm about to school y'all a little bit, or I'm about to try to make sense out of this. Violence is violence, right? Violence is what it is. It's an act of aggression against a person that's harmful. Physically, most of the time. I don't think you can consider verbal abuse as violent or violence, but whatever. It most of the time involves verbal and physical abuse. That's an aggression against a person that's the detriment to their life and well-being, right? If me and so neighbors and we just happen to be black, or we white and black, my neighbor white and I'm black, and we intermingle or whatever, because we already integrated in our neighborhood, and we get into it with each other, and we get into a fight. As citizens, that's just violence. That's not a racial thing. I wouldn't consider me getting into a fight with a white person just on some regular stuff, whatever it may be, as racist. That's just, we happen to be in the same vicinity. See, violence usually happens within it happens within the vicinity of your location, period. Most people are not crossing border lines or state lines to commit violence and then coming back. Most people are not crossing state lines to kill somebody and then coming back over to over somebody else. Usually when somebody gets killed, murdered or something, it happens because it's somebody that you know. Somebody that you know of, or somebody is from somebody that you know of from somebody else. Like it's a couple of degrees removed, right? Other times, yes, there are many situations where killings and murders happen haphazardly, and they happen because the person didn't know it was a drive, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's many situations. But the majority of violence that happens is because of your immediate vicinity, right? The difference here, like I said, black on black violence does not exist because when white people commit violence against each other, white and white, it's not called white on white violence. That's just how we look at it. That's just violence, period. That's just what it is. They are citizens of America getting into it with each other. That's violence. Just like black people are citizens of America getting into it with each other. That's just violence. When they're talking about the crime rate, that's the violence that's happening. This, with the crime or things that get actually convicted. That's just violence, right? The trade-off is when you have people who's outside of being a civilian, i.e. law enforcement, aka cops, police, detectives, anybody who work in law enforcement for the government or military, of which I'm the former military. And we had to former military, or when I was in the military, when we was in active duty, or even as a veteran, you have to refer to just a basic citizen. Like as a veteran, I still refer to people who haven't been in law enforcement or haven't been in the military as citizens or civilians. Oh, that's a civilian. That's a civvy. We got nicknames for it and everything like that, right? So when it comes to black on black, white on white, black on white, white on black, that doesn't exist. That's just violence. So it can't, that's not a thing. Now, I understand the sentiments of, oh, we don't stand up, blah, 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 but you're never getting rid of violence. That's nature. That's not going away. I saw a post and somebody was talking about it's impossible to get peace all over the world, and that's true. So some things we do got to analyze and look at and critically think and sit back and ask ourselves, what can we do to become more peaceful? We're never going to have complete 100% peace. That doesn't exist. It's not peace cannot be absolute when you got human beings involved with the freedom of choice, the free will to choose and do as they please, as they so please. So that's something we can't fight. That's human nature. It's like being in the animal kingdom telling a lion not to eat a gazelle. He gonna be like, you a fool? I not only do I have to do this to eat to maintain my livelihood, but I'm going to do this because that's just the way it is, right? It's nature. When you're outside of being a civilian, i.e. military or law enforcement, you have taken the oath to step outside of being a normal human being and into becoming a upstanding human being, a role model in a sense. You're not supposed to be out there killing people for no reason whatsoever. You're supposed to be preserving life, preserving and protecting life, protecting the rights of others. We pay for that through our tax dollars. And to see my own people, black people, talking about, oh, I ain't standing for black on black violence, blah, blah, blah. Bro, nobody wants anybody to be killing anybody at any point in time, period. Nobody wants, I'm saying even the hardest of gangsters or the hardest of criminals, they really don't want death to be happening like that. Now, you got some psychopaths and serial killers who snap whatever. They get to a point where they like, you know what, forget it, everybody got to go, right? I'm not talking about them. We talking about the average, normal thinking, or hopefully normal thinking person or people. And when it comes to black on black, white on white, none of that stuff exists. That's just violence. It's a difference when you're outside of, you're supposed to be outside of race. So you're supposed to be outside of, I can no longer look at myself. If I'm a cop, if I become a cop, I can no longer look at myself as just a black citizen. I got to look at myself as a black cop who protects the lives of black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. That's how you got to be. You got to be for everybody, right? And what we've been saying is that the police has been specifically for and only them people and not our people. To all my white homies and whoever, non-people of color or people of color, if y'all got videos of law enforcement, just as with Tony Tempa being mistreated and everything like that, then you need to be sending those over. You need to be posting it. You need to be talking about it, so that I can talk about it, so that we can talk about it. Because watching that man die, just as I watched George Floyd die, it don't sit right with me. No, I don't care. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. None of them should have died the way they're supposed to. Not supposed to. None of them should have died that way. They wasn't supposed to go out that way. Nobody deserves that. No matter what they did. Now they bringing up things like he was George Floyd used to do pornography, or he committed several crimes before and blah. I don't care what that man did before, because I don't know what he did before. All I know is what I seen when the police had him, and when they had him, they got rid of him. That was plain as day. I had to talk to my daughter about Tamir Rice, and I'm everybody talks, or not everybody, but right now a lot of people talking about how, or who is it? Candace Owens. Oh, I hate this bitch. Candace Owens. I'm sorry. Excuse my language. Candace Owens a bitch. I'm sorry. I gotta say it. Ain't no other way. Ain't no other way to put. She's a funky dog head bitch. Yeah, I said it. I don't know what's gonna happen afterwards. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Like, bro, I do not like Candace Owens. I tried to give her a chance when she was at the Revolt convention with Diddy and Killer Mike and the rest of them, when they were on the stage debating politics and things and where they head within the black community. I tried to give her a pass back then. She did say a couple of things that I was like, okay, I get what you're saying. But to come full circle to today and see that everything that she said at the Revolt, when she was at that convention, at that debate with them, it seemed like she just backtracked and she don't care what it was that she said yesterday. I do not agree. This woman tried to tear down this man's whole livelihood about how she don't agree with him being a martyr of Black Lives Matter. Nobody want anybody to be a martyr. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's what I don't get. And nobody's saying George Floyd is the martyr of Black Lives Matter. He couldn't be if it started way back when. But we didn't have so many innocent killings since. Botham Jean could have been the martyr for Black Lives Matter if it so needs to be, if we so choose to. Tamir Rice definitely should have been. Trayvon, Michael Brown, like the list goes on and on. Tamir Rice didn't even get a chance to have a criminal record or history. The little boy, 11, 12 years old, and got killed by the Ohio or Cincinnati or Cleveland. I can't remember. Cincinnati or Cleveland, whichever one. Got killed by them cops as soon as they rolled up for having a pellet gun. For playing. The boy was doing what he was supposed to have been doing. And it hurts me to this day to sit here and think about it, because as many times as I told my nephews or my daughter to go outside and play, you can go to the park. Go ahead. I can imagine them with, a slingshot or I don't know, even a pellet gun. Because other people, other kids come with other things. Other kids might come in, hey, I got some BB guns, I want to play with them. And because somebody else, a civilian, saw the boy in the park with a gun, I don't know what made them think to call the cops on a boy in the park holding a gun, playing with a gun. Now, ain't nobody gonna be having a gun just out, with the gun, just in the park in the open by themselves in the snow, just going back and forth. Men don't do that. It's not happening. Most of the time, people don't even want their gun to be seen, so they conceal it. You know what I'm saying? Wherever they're going to conceal it. Ain't nobody walking out with the gun because they know what happens when they walking out with their gun. They know exactly what's going to happen. Because ain't nothing but fear and opportunity that's going to happen if you got your gun out. So if I'm looking outside of my window and I'm seeing somebody at a park, a playground, and they got a gun and they look real short and they about a child's height, I'm going to assume that's a child. As a matter of fact, it ain't none of my business what's going on out there. I'm going to keep myself safe and stay right here and mind my business. But that's what we got nowadays. People who don't care, they ain't minding their business. They want to jump the gun, they want to be Karens, they want to be whoever, and call the police on any situation because they have the privilege to. Black people have always known. Hey, what up, bro? The topics, I'm saying, I'm talking about coronavirus and George Floyd, same old. But black people have always known that we just can't call the police for anything. I can't say just white people. I'm going to just say non-black people because I don't live in their communities. I don't know if they felt the same or they feel the same, but I know for sure black people, even when I was younger, ain't no calling the police unless you need to call the police. And when I was younger, man, when we used to call the police, bro, most of the time they didn't come. They didn't come. So it would be left up to us, the civilians, the citizens, to police each other, to protect each other, to look out for each other. And that's what used to happen until the police arrived. Like, I can't make this up, bro. We can't make this up. It feel like the more information I give about how I live my life or how other people's lives have been going, who I've been around, who I've been blessed to be around, when I tell them the truth of the things that they've been going through when it comes to law enforcement, and I'm telling people who mainly white, if not something else. Chris, I love the fact that the world is involved. I love it too, bro. Big bro, I love it too. I love it too. I'm gonna touch on that. But when I used to tell people about other people's lives, the more truth I told, I could see the more look in their eyes where they like, he lying, he making this up. This is like a movie. Like, bro, black people on a average, on a large scale, have been being mistreated by police at a level that other people just wouldn't even be able to understand or take. I remember when I was 16, I was about 15, 16 years old. I was coming from school. And big bro, I don't know if you remember this, but cause you was the one who told me like it happens every day. Like I was coming from school. I was in high school. I was getting off the bus. Came off the what was that? The 12. I came off the 12. For those who don't know, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I got off the number 12 bus coming into my hood. I'm like a block away. I'm not even a block away. I'm sorry. I'm like a couple steps. Like all I had to do was hit the alley. Like not hit the alley and go down there, but cross the alleyway. Turn, bend the corner. I could have hit the alley and go to the back, but I know I don't like to go through the alley and go through the back because you never know what's gonna happen out there, right? So I tried to take the safe route and be in the front of my house because most of the time people are looking out the front of their homes, right? So all I had to do was cross the alley, hit the corner, go a couple houses down, like 2 or 3 houses. I'm at my crib, right? So I'm about to get ready to cross the alley, and I ain't hear no sirens, no nothing. Police swerve up, like whoop, whoop. Swerve up real fast, stop right in front of me. Hop out the whip. One got the gun drawn, the other got the gun on the hip. Get in the car. I'm like, what? I got a backpack on. Nothing but books in my backpack. Ain't nothing but books in my book bag. Heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like slinging down here. So I'm holding up my book bag because like I said, the book's all on my back going down here. So I'm holding it up. And I'm like, bro, if I drop this bag, they're going to think of something in there, right? So I'm holding on tight. I'm just thinking in my head, like, what's going on? I'm about to hit home. Like, I'm almost home, almost there. Like, I'm about to be home. I'm almost there. They pull right up. No sirens, no nothing. Get out. Guns drawn. One got the gun drawn. One got the gun on the hip. One got the hand on the gun. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't putting my hands up because I don't know what's going on. I just got it on my bag. I don't want the bag to fall. They thinking I got something in my bag because it's heavy. I'm like, they might think I got something in there. They put me on the officer put me on the hood. Like, bam. Now, he ain't slammed me on the hood. Now, he pushed me up against the hood. But he making sure I ain't moving because he got his hand on my back the whole time. The other one got the gun drawn. He got his hand on my back with the gun, with his hand on his gun. The other one got the gun drawn. My backpack, at this point, since I'm on the hood, I gotta let it go. Boom, it dropped, hit the ground. Poof. What you got in the backpack? You got drugs? You got some keys in here? Drugs and keys? What? Yeah. Where's your buddies? Where's your crew at? We heard you the lieutenant. Where they mentioned a gang, but I can't remember. I don't know if it was what was the name of that gang back then? Was it called Hardheads or Boss something? I think it was Hardhead. I can't remember. But it wasn't Gangsta Disciples, it wasn't Vice Lords, it wasn't Latin Kings, of course. But it wasn't GD, it wasn't VL that they thought I was with. They thought I was with some gang. They thought I was some lieutenant. And they talking to me as if my book bag got nothing but keys and shit in it. And I'm thinking in my head, like, damn, they really think this of me? Like, I know when I get up and I go to school, I look young as hell compared to all the other people in school. Not only am I short and skinny, but like I ain't got no facial hair whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like not even like a little hair or nothing. I ain't got no facial hair back then, none at all. I'm skinny. The list goes on. The stuff I'm wearing looks childish at that point. You know what I mean? So I'm just listening because I don't know what to say. I'm just like, whatever I say, because I always heard whatever you say and do will be held against you in the court of law. They don't say it might. They don't say it probably. They don't say, it's more than likely not going to get held. No, whatever you say and do will be held against you, in the court of law. Because I ain't saying I'm doing nothing. I'm just going to do whatever they tell me to do because I don't know what's going on. I'm not the person who they think I am. And I'm 16, they got guns drawn. If I move, they going to pop me and it's going to be over. These are times when, I think these are when cell phones just started to become affordable because I had a cell phone. But, reaching for my cell phone was a no-no, right? So, what happened? Oh, sorry about that. Excuse me, y'all. So, I'm just thinking in my head, damn, this hood is hot. Like the hood of their car is still on. Like it's hot. They didn't even cut the car off. And if I sit here any longer, I'm gonna burn my face. Right? As they ask me the questions, I think the other cop, he opens up my book bag. Because I'm peeping out what's going on at the corner of my eyes as much as I can. Because when it comes to police, you got to try to remember every detail because they're going to swing the story their way no matter what you say. No matter what you say and do, the story will go the way the police say it go, no matter if it wasn't that way, period. That's where it's going to go. That's how you got to fight it. So I got to remember every detail. So I'm trying to look out the corner of my eye, see what's going on. He opened up my book bag. He seen nothing but books. And they like, shit. And then eventually, they just left. They just like... They said, I forget exactly what they said, because all I can remember was one of the men got the guns on, the other one got the gun, he got his hand on his gun, which is on a holster, on his hip, as they questioning me about whether or not I'm a lieutenant of this gang, or where my other members at, where my little crew at. They realize I don't have anything, I'm just probably a normal high school student. And they didn't say sorry. They didn't say, you know what, mistaken identity, our mistake, we apologize. They don't know they gave me PTSD from that because that goes into PTSD or trauma, however you want to see it. But I call it PTSD because that's usually what happens. These things don't go away. We just live with it, right? They ain't say, you know what, we sorry. They ain't even take the time to even address any of how I'm feeling or whatever may have you. And they left. They just pulled off and they left. And so when I got to the crib, my oldest brother, he was there, and I was like, man, the police, blah, 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 blah. And he was pretty much like, welcome to the club, nigga. You better be happy you're alive. That's what my oldest brother was saying to me. These are back in those times. This is the early 2000s where things wasn't being recorded. Now, this is back when phones ain't have cameras. Or phones wasn't able to, if they had cameras, they wasn't able to video record. Back then, as far as I understand. And if so, it wasn't no social media platform to put this stuff on for everybody to see so that everybody can understand what it is that we've been going through. Because people will say they don't believe that. And that's just what happened at 16. I ain't go what happens before 16 because there was a lot of me interacting with the police well before 16 and well after it. My whole 10 years in San Diego, I was harassed by the police. The whole 10 years I was in San Diego, I was harassed by the police. I was never locked up in jail, but definitely put in the back of a squad car, definitely put under arrest, and in another situation detained. For what reasons, they'll never explain to me. But every time, never given a ticket. Besides minor traffic violations like expired registrations, expired insurance. That's all I ever got. Never got like possessions of illegal narcotics, or possessions of firearms or anything like that. Never DUI, never speeding. Or sorry, I got like one speeding, but I don't speed. I'm like a granny without a drive. I like to drive, normal. I don't like to get into accidents, anything like that. The point I'm trying to make is It don't matter who I am, what I've done before. If I get into an altercation with the police, that altercation, as we see today, somehow is going to decide how people view and judge me for the rest of their natural lives. And that's messed up when we looking at things that happened with George Floyd, Michael Brown. Shoot, even Ahmaud Arbery. The police wasn't even involved in this, and you mean to tell me people are seeing that it's okay because he somehow was suspected of robbing or stealing out of other people's homes? Bro, they don't give nobody a right to shoot anybody of suspicion. This ain't Minority Report. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what's about to happen tomorrow, or what that person's going to do within the next minute or next second. But it seemed pretty evident that we need to, and I mean we as in black people, we need to arm ourselves because people are suspecting us of doing things that we ain't got no intentions of doing whatsoever. I don't see how people would think Ahmaud Arbery was going to rob somebody in broad daylight by himself with a white T-shirt and shorts on. I think he had shorts on, if I'm not mistaken. You can't get away with anything if you don't have nothing to carry it with. He ain't had no backpack. He had no weapons. He didn't have no tools. You can't break into, like, yeah, you could probably break into somebody's house with a rock or something. But you're not walking out of there, or you're not running out of there with what you stole in your hands for people to see in the neighborhood. That a neighborhood that you don't belong to, especially. That's not happening, especially in today's time. So for anybody sitting there questioning what Ahmaud Arbery was doing, but not questioning the validity of them claiming that they have or the validity of them claiming that they have the right to shoot Ahmaud Arbery, you are a part of the problem. And you're not understanding where we at right now. Yeah, we at a race war. Yeah, we need to be talking about this a whole lot more. You need to be educating your kids. Stop being arrogant. Stop being passive, thinking that just because you live over in so and so area that it ain't gonna run into you. Because nowadays, as you see, everything on social media, like shoot, I'm in my guest room, one of my guest rooms, and people probably looking right now like, yeah, I know exactly the layout of his house, and he put pictures up. Yeah, you can find me. Just based off of what I got in social media. You know what I'm saying? So to those people who thinking you safe, you're not safe. You're not. Chris. They were protesting in Shorewood yesterday. A white woman decided to park her car in the middle of the street to block the protest. She's on the sidewalk and protesters are asking, please move your car, mainly white protesters. A young black man walked up and she spit in his face. It's on TMZ. I love the young people. They will die before they will let racism exist. Hey, that's what's up. I ain't know that was Milwaukee. I just saw that. I just seen that. I just seen that. That's crazy. That's what don't make sense to me, man. I would never. My mama didn't even have to tell us stuff like that. It's just things that I don't get how people inherently don't have within them to think like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe this ain't right. Spitting on somebody is, oh God, man, it's like spitting on somebody is so disrespectful. Like, oh man, it's so hard. It's so hard to come back after being spat on. Like, especially when like it's just a person. Like this ain't somebody you know. You don't know. Like think about it. We were supposed to be in coronavirus season. She spat on somebody. Like now the police. It's funny because the police could swing it their way. Like, hey, you in danger of my life, so I had to shoot. It's coronavirus. I don't know if she got coronavirus, right? They can swing whichever way they want. I would never dream of spitting on somebody, man. I remember I was watching Love. I don't know if y'all remember Flavor of Love? Remember New York, that girl New York? She spit on that white girl. Like Hawk spit. Or the white girl spit on New York. One or the other. Either the white girl spit on New York or New York spit on the other one. But I'll never forget something like that, bro. Ain't no coming back from that. You being spat on. Oh, God. I'd rather be slapped. I'd rather be slapped. Honestly, I'd rather be slapped in my face. I'd rather be slapped in front of everybody than to be spat on. So being spat on might bring death. Like, that's it. I can't do nothing else but kill this person. I don't know what else to do. They gotta go. No more Earth for you. No more Earth. You gotta go. You gotta go. You know, yeah, you gotta go. And real quick, man, before I go ahead and end this. Before I end this, man, I do want to, put out another notice that, hey, man, seriously, I don't care what color you are, you need to be educating your peers. For real is death to you today, right? You need to be educating your peers. You need to be educating your children. You should be researching. I'm really at my wits end with people who don't know anything about Black history and the things in the trials and tribulations that Black people, because you got to get more specific when you speak on Black people, African Americans, Jamaicans, Islanders, whatever. They encompass Black people. I'm really at my wits end with people who don't understand the history that of oppression that's we've been facing to this very day. Alexis, how should we conduct ourselves around law enforcement, knowing our rights and knowing we didn't do anything wrong? There ain't no way you can rightly conduct yourself with law enforcement, unfortunately, at this moment, in my opinion. I know when I deal with law enforcement, like I've mentioned, I've had too many encounters with law enforcement to count. But whenever I dealt with them, I tried to do everything that they tell me to do, because I know for sure they're gonna swing the story their way no matter what. Even while you're doing all the right things, because they know of laws, and they know of what they call them in contracts. They call them loopholes. They know of laws and loopholes and things to get around in order to justify the mistreatment or the actions that they may end up doing or they may do accidentally. Not everything happens purposely or intently. Some things happen by accident, but they cover it up as well. But you can't do things accidentally when you're a cop, or you have to also receive the same punishment that we would get if we do something accidentally, like getting into a car accident. We get the same punishment as a person who would do it intentionally. So you should get the same punishment, right? That's neither here nor there. That's not what I'm saying. But the point I'm trying to make is this: it just depends on the day. Right? Like Rob Patron said, it just depends on the day that they having. Chris, it's not in our DNA to carry that way. We are the definition of love. We are taught to be thieves, murderers. Exactly, man. Black people have their history taken away, their language, their religion, everything. Their mothers, their fathers, their sons, their daughters. Everything has been taken away, and somehow we still find the capacity to love all people. We still find the capacity to live and not revolt at any given time due to the accumulation of all the history, all the years, systematic oppression, racism, and bigotry that's been going on in this country. So I know that you hear them and they hear you. No, hell no, bro. Always repeat everything back so they can, yeah. We are loving people. Nah, yeah, I feel you. My bad. I was kind of mumbling. Yes. So Julian said, "Nah, hell nah. Know that you are." Oh, a whole bunch of comments. Sorry about that. Know that you hear them and they hear you. Say we also need to legally arm ourselves and know our rights. Yeah, Andrew Johnson. We also need to legally arm ourselves and know our rights to bear arms, just like the others in our nation. Go out and get your concealed. Facts. So if they having a bad day and you having a bad day, how do you handle it? If we were vengeful, many people would be. Exactly. Like Andrew Johnson said, man, at this point we have to go out and arm ourselves legally. Like, for real, no more throwaways, no more burners or whatever you call them. Like, go out there and get your gun legally. Don't be carrying it everywhere just because. Carry it in situations where you feel that you might get into something. Keep the ammunition or somewhere where you can get to it, but not in the gun. I don't know, whatever laws they got in place to where they say you got to do this and that when you got your gun, then go ahead and do this and that. Find the loopholes. Find the loopholes, because that's what your lawyer gonna do. Your lawyer is gonna look for the loopholes. He gonna look for cracks in anything in the laws, federal and state laws, in the jurisdiction, to find ways to get you out of trouble. You know what I'm saying? Exactly, like Jonathan Ellick. Use the laws against him. Mike, it's no right way, because anything can happen. I do say follow all instructions and try not to escalate the situation. Fight them in the courtroom and not on the streets. Exactly. And that's what I try to do. Most of the time, like I said, most of the time when I got pulled over or I got into it with the police, it always ended with a warning. Like, they warned me about things I didn't do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just been funny. All my dealings with the police always went from what they wanted it to be. So I would get pulled over or I would get stopped, and it would basically be like, where's the drugs or guns? Like, they looking in my car, or they want to look in my car for drugs and guns and stuff like that, and I'm like, I don't have any, so I don't like that. I'm not that dude. But they would do that because they thinking just because I'm driving around with 22-inch chrome rims, black tint, with some 12-inch subs in the car, bumper trap music or whatever, that somehow that I'm gang affiliated. And that's not the case. Mike, educate yourself on laws. Too many of us try to learn from each other instead of researching for us. That's facts. And that's at least I hope that's what I'm getting through with this podcast. I started this podcast on the premise that I wanted to be able to help people critically think on both ends. You know what I mean? Especially in situations like this. We have to know our history so that we can understand what we need to do today to figure out where we can go tomorrow. If we don't, we will be fighting a uphill battle with ice, sleet, snow, rain, whatever may have you. You know what I mean? There go to question. Are you on probation, parole, or a fourth? There go to a question. Are you on probation, parole, or a fourth waiver? Jonathan, I don't really understand your question or statement. Sorry about that, bro. Knowledge is power. African American Gun Association. Yeah, check out that website that Andrew Johnson just posted the link, people. The website, he said, look into National African American Gun Association and join organizations that help protect your interests as well. Black people got a lot of organizations. We got a lot of organizations. We got a lot of organizations just besides the NAACP that can help you. You know what I'm saying? Not only maintain your livelihood, but grow it, or help you become a better person. Julian, educate yourself on the laws and let them know you know them. We at times are the enemy. It's an educated way to talk. Always stay calm. We are at war because of the color of our skin. That's facts. But I always found the problem though, bro, when it comes to trying to tell police what you know of the law. Because like Mike said, depending on whatever day they having, they gonna have it out with you. You know what I mean? They gonna have it out with you, and they gonna swing it whichever way they want to swing it. And that's what I'm used to dealing with. You know what I'm saying? That's unfortunate, but like that's just is what it is, man. And if y'all haven't gotten anything out of this episode, please educate yourself on your history of your people, of your history of your enemies, or the once enemies of your people, if you don't consider them enemies nowadays. Educate yourself on the laws, the state and federal laws in place within your vicinity. And I think you got state, federal, and Mike, is there another set of laws that people need to be finding besides just state and federal? Like, is there like city jurisdiction laws or county laws and things of that nature that people need to be looking up? Because I know things change once you get over from, if you in, I don't know, here in Dallas, if you go from Dallas to Fort Worth, they got different sets of laws and things of that nature because, different city or whatever, but Jonathan, when I've been pulled over, there go the questions was, are you on probation, pro, or, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, man. Municipal laws. Good looking, Andrew. Look at municipal laws, state laws, federal laws. and shit, any other laws that we fall under. It's almost, I don't know how many laws there is. I'm sure it's probably close to 1 million at this point, but whatever. My thing is, to have power, we need to invest in our own shit. We don't own nothing. We need our own banks and stores and things of that nature. Until then, we screaming for nothing. Facts. I think when, I don't know if it was Mike Brown. I don't know if it was Mike Brown's situation or it was Trayvon's. I can't remember who it was, or it could have been Freddie Gray. One of the, big cases a few years ago, Killer Mike got on a campaign where he told black people to take their money out of their current bank and put it into these black banks. He sent out a list of black banks. That list has grown. I don't know if anybody has the list or where they can find it, but I'm sure you can just Google it, or Killer Mike probably has some type of organization dedicated to this type of information because he's always speaking on it. But there is some black banks, not a lot whatsoever, not a lot, not in the numbers that we know of other banks, but there are some. But you're right for the generalization. Black people don't own enough, and it's gonna be hard for black people to try to own a lot of stuff when you 12 to 13% of the population. You know what I mean? And I think black people are now, at one point, black people were the second most populous population within the United States of America. But as you can see, due to disease, famine, police misconduct, and just life in general, we have now fallen to number 3, I believe. So I think Mexicans are now the second most populous group in America. I could be wrong. Somebody can look up that information or fact check me. But if I'm not mistaken, at one point in time, black people, it was like, I don't know, let's just, for the sake of argument's sake, it was like 60% or 70% white. And then it was like, I don't know, 17% black. And then it was like 12% Mexican. And now you could flip that for Mexican and black. Now it's like 74% white, 14% Mexican, 12% black, and then so on and so forth. So on and so forth for Native American, Asians, Americans, and any other race that's in America. Okay, Jonathan. I've never been on anything. I always make sure to know the laws. Hey man, yeah man. And they still gonna mess with you. That's what we used to. And that's I don't understand how people don't believe us when we tell them, like, it don't matter what we do. You know what I'm saying? Chris, all criminal laws need to be eradicated. Those laws were created just for blacks and against blacks to control and prevent from further success of blacks. I don't see the lie in it. Think about the 3-strike law. 3-strike law was for black people. Period. It just was. The war on drugs. That was for black people. Even though suburban communities consume more narcotics, or the same amount of narcotics that the hoods, ghettos, whatever you want to call it, that the impoverished neighborhoods consume, they came into the black neighborhoods because they knew they couldn't go into the white neighborhoods and kick in doors and get. They knew they couldn't get when people try to come to your house, search warrants. They knew they couldn't get search warrants and things like that. And mind you, it used to be a time where you had to get a search warrant. Period. No matter what, you had to get a search warrant to get into somebody's house. They got rid of all that. They don't need no search warrant to get in your house no more. And I could be wrong federally, but in some states, in some places, they do not need a search warrant to bust into your crib. And then when they do bust into your crib without a search warrant, they don't get reprimanded for it. They don't. Nobody's getting fired. They don't remove the chief of police. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't do none of that. They just, we'll take care of it. We'll look at it. Hey, big bro, I don't know. Remember this? When I was like, shoot, man, I had to been before I was 10 years old, but it was this one time the police came busting into our crib looking for this dude named Jerome Johnson. My dumb ass, because my middle name Jerome, my last name Johnson. Like, oh, here I am. You know, my mama like, boy, if you don't shut the hell up, they ain't looking for you. But the police didn't come knocking on the door. They didn't come in talking about a search warrant. They came in talking about they looking for they came in, they bust in our crib, running through our place. Like, we looking for Jerome Johnson, something like that. And we like, what? You know what I'm saying? Everybody in the house confused, like, what is going on? Now, they left eventually, and thank God nobody got shot. But what if? You know what I'm saying? That's what we talking about. What if? If anybody in my house had a gun that was visible, when them people popped in, when them police popped in talking about they looking for so-and-so, they would have took it as so-and-so was in here because they got a gun, period. And then they wouldn't look at it as if you bust into my crib, I'm scared, you about to shoot up my whole family, I'm protecting myself. They wouldn't look at it like that. They looking at it from their point of view. And you don't even know what's going on. That's what we talking about. People who outside of the hood, what happened with George Floyd is trying to tell people who usually in the hood about what's going on in the hood when it comes to police and how they're being policed. And they don't have no clue. Black and white. So, Andrew Johnson, probable cause is the lie they use to bust doors down and search whatever they want. Exactly, probable cause. Look, it's in the terminology. Cause I probably think he did it, so I'ma just reverse it. I got probable cause. He probably did it, cause he said they walked. My brother said they walked right in. I don't know. Maybe my mindset had them running, cause I remember them running throughout the house. I probably wouldn't be here today had somebody had a gun that was visible in my house when that happened. I can only imagine what probably would have happened. And there was a time when my brothers, both my family, my family, but definitely my brothers was like on some, you ain't about to hurt my family and just do anything to my family type stuff. My brothers, they was on it, you know what I'm saying? But they was also smart as well, and still is, you know what I mean, when it comes to dealing with cops. But the point I'm trying to make, you know what I'm saying, with this episode is, please talk about this. Don't let it slide. Open up your mind. Open up your eyes. Don't forget that everything is happening for a reason most of the time. Whether you can't figure it out or not. Don't forget that they allow people to protest and have guns on Capitol Hill or wherever that place was when they wanted haircuts, and nobody cried and said nobody, especially black, because majority was white who did this. That's fact. That's on the news. It's in the clippings. They had guns, talking about they wives need their haircut. Or their wives need their hairdo and the men need their haircut and they ready to get about the house from coronavirus. They ain't got to be in the house they don't want to. Ain't no state laws, no federal laws that states they have to be here. And they had guns on federal property or state property, however you want to look at it, and nothing happened to them. Don't forget about the shootout that them people had with the FBI a couple years ago. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it, man. Love you too, bro. Don't forget about that shootout that them people have with the FBI. Now, I think a couple people died, but they never put publicly, or they never put publicly what the sentences was for the rest of them. Remember, there was a standoff, a public standoff on national TV with the FBI and the police, but in a group of armed citizens. A couple years ago, they were never condemned to be terrorists or anything of that nature. Don't forget, man. Don't let things slide. Educate yourself. Don't forget that the only cop who went against the law enforcement was burned alive on national television in Los Angeles or some part of California. But his name was Christopher Dorner. I ain't say he did anything nice. All I'm telling you is that he was a cop. He was there. He was blue. And they burned him alive in the cabin on TV. But they take Dylan Roof away in handcuffs. They take other serial killers away in handcuffs. And They don't get mistreated, which is the same treatment we should receive on a daily basis when we are being policed by law enforcement. If anybody gonna get mistreated, it should be the pedophiles, the rapists, the serial killers, the racists, those type of people, and they don't. And the president praised them for protesting at the Capitol in Michigan. Yeah, so Andrew Johnson, the president praised them for protesting at the Capitol in Michigan for their rights, but then called the protesters for racial equality, thugs, and criminals. Exactly. And back when, right before the FBI released the statement that they are going to be moving. Remember this, the FBI said, I think a year or earlier last year or right before 2020 popped up on us, the FBI had already stated that white supremacist groups are going to be a thing starting this year. Like, not just like, they ain't say it like that, but just know, I'm paraphrasing here, but they was already putting out warnings that the white supremacist groups, aka KKK or the Aryan Nations, are going to be doing some things. They're going to be making moves. So the FBI already put them out there like, we got to move them up to domestic terrorism or terrorist threats. The KKK has been in inception since the United States has been in inception. They wasn't called the KKK until, I don't know what year it was. I'm not even going to speculate, but it was sometime in the 19th century. And they just now, in the 21st century, been put on the FBI list as domestic terrorists, whereas the Black Panthers were put on the FBI list as domestic terrorists back when they were started. Way back then, they was put down as terrorists, and most of them was on the top FBI top most wanted list, if not all of them, and some of them still are. My last point, I'm just let this be it, man. Thank y'all for joining me on this episode. Next week, I hope I can come with more just regular, regular BS stuff and laugh, and we get back to the fun, good times. But I'm not gonna let the time slip by. I'm not gonna let people slip by and not get this information or not get told what they should be getting told. If you, I don't care who you are, color or non-color, person of color or non-person of color, and you in America, and you in your house and you got nothing going on, because ain't nothing going on because we still in this coronavirus pandemic thing where we're supposed to be staying in the crib, then you need to be talking about the things we need to change in order to become a better world. And if you're not, then you are becoming part of the problem. You're not trying to actively make this world better. If all we asking for is for you to listen and to react and talk, not for you to react and put action in, but to at least talk. Because at least if you say something and I say something, maybe somebody else may hear it who have the power to change our life, which is the laws. Then we've done what we're supposed to have done as a people. If America is what it's supposed to be, land of the free, home of the brave, whatever, revolutionaries, because that's all it's been. A revolution was started for it to become America. A revolution was started for it to become for slavery to be abolished and everything, all anything, whatever, all the above. It had to be a revolution. It had to be blood that's been spilled. Then you should be standing with the people on the revolution side of making everything a better place. So once again, thank y'all for joining me on this episode of the podcast. The Chitlin Circuit. Once again, you can find me at Jerry the J. My little thing ain't working right now, but anyway. You can find me at Jerry the J on Facebook and Instagram. I don't have a Twitter account. I don't plan on it, but I'm definitely on Instagram and Facebook. Also on YouTube. 4 Minds. That's the number 4 Minds, as in mind. MINDS TV is the YouTube channel. There will be other content like short films, short stories, things of that nature. I might even do like some NBA 2. I don't know. When the PS5 come out, I plan on doing like some NBA 2K gaming, streaming, things of that nature. Things, to make it a little bit more, a little intuitive and things like that, man. But yeah, man. Like I said, you can find me at Jerry J pretty much everywhere. And usually I do this podcast episode every Sunday between the hours of 7 and 10. It's been late because my daughter, she don't be liking to go to sleep when she don't want to go to sleep and things. Whoever that is, I don't even know what I can't. Sakia? I would never be able to pronounce your name right, but thank you once again. Thank y'all for joining me on the this episode of the Chitlin Circuit. Y'all have a blessed rest of y'all night and stay safe and keep up the good fight.